The following is a presentation of the Black Hollywood Live Network, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. Hollywood Redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is Black Hollywood Live, the Black Tea Party, featuring weekly discussions on political news and current affairs. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood Redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host of Black Hollywood Live, the Black Tea Party.
Yes, there we go.
There we go.
That's how you started.
Yeah.
Your Black
Marvin.
Moment of the Week.
Black moment of the week.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's here
Let's
for
call
you
it.
in the present.
That's really sad.
Ladies and gentlemen, you never know what's going to happen when you're trying to put on a live podcast. But nonetheless, we are here. This is Black Tea Party on Black Hollywood Live. My name is Ron Moore, and I'm never alone on this show. Joining me, we're down one this week, but sitting across from me. We'll get there. The beautiful, vivacious Miss Stacy Ike.
I'm
How
vivacious.
you doing today?
I'm,
You are today.
I'm wonderful. Thank you very much. Wow, that's a good one.
And Mr. Don Nash, how you doing?
I'm good. And I'm always good when I'm sitting next to Miss Ike.
I can't. You guys.
Yeah, she's the only lady here, so we got to make a
Yeah, I know. We are missing Mr. Michael T-Mont this week. He has some prior engagements to take care of. I don't know, maybe it has something to do with the conversation of spanking.
I'm kind of glad he's not here today because I was.
No, I needed him today. I really wanted to see. Yeah.
Oh,
for
on
that.
some of what we're going to discuss.
For
Yeah,
sure.
It kept going, by the way.
Yeah.
Last
Yeah.
week's show kept going on Facebook with me and him going back and forth.
Yeah.
Talking about the difference in spanking and beating and disciplining and
He
things of
called
that
us
nature.
liberals.
Yeah, he did. He called us liberals.
All three
So
of
not
us.
cool.
He called
That
all
was
three of us
very
liberals.
funny.
Said, man, you don't even know me like that.
Right.
Anyway, before I just want to take in Marvin for a second. Okay, there's been so much this week between the
Like
UN.
always.
Yeah, definitely. The UN summit on climate change. We had the shooting in South Carolina, which we're going to get to. We had Eric Holder announce that he's stepping down this week.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go to the most important of all these issues.
Oh,
You think
really?
it's
You're
the
gonna
most important?
prioritize?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I honestly believe that climate change, out of all of these events, is the most important because with us doing nothing, we won't even have much of a planet to have other problems on.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said, Leonardo DiCaprio spoke at the UN, and he gave a very, very poignant speech. It was about 3 minutes and 30 seconds, and damn it, I'm running the whole thing because I think it was that important. So I'm just going to right now throw it to Leonardo on the screen. We can get that up because that speech, when I listened to it and I heard it, finally someone that's a Hollywood heavyweight
Has
is starting
something
to
to say.
put their voice behind
Yep.
it. So here we are. Well, we're going to get there. There we go.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary General, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests. I'm honored to be here today. I stand before you not as an expert, but as a concerned citizen, one of the 400,000 people who marched in the streets of New York on Sunday, and the billions of others around the world who want to solve our climate crisis. As an actor, I pretend for a living. I play fictitious characters, often solving fictitious problems. I believe that mankind has looked at climate change in that same way, as if it were a fiction, as if pretending that climate change wasn't real would somehow make it go away. But I think we all know better than that now. Every week we're seeing new and undeniable climate events, evidence that accelerated climate change is here right now. Droughts are intensifying, our oceans are acidifying, with methane plumes rising up from the ocean floor. We are seeing extreme weather events and the West Antarctic and Greenland ice sheets melting at unprecedented rates, decades ahead of scientific projections. None of this is rhetoric, and none of it is hysteria. It is fact. The scientific community knows it, industry knows it, governments know it, even the United States military knows it. The chief of the U.S. Navy's Pacific Command, Admiral Samuel Locklear, recently said that climate change is our single greatest security threat. My friends, this body, perhaps more than any other gathering in human history, now faces this difficult but achievable task. You can make history, or you will be vilified by it. To be clear, this is not about just telling people to change their light bulbs or to buy a hybrid car. This disaster has grown beyond the choices that individuals make. This is now about our industries and our governments around the world taking decisive, large-scale action. Now must be our moment for action. We need to put a price tag on carbon emissions and eliminate government subsidies for oil, coal, and gas companies. We need to end the free ride that industrial polluters have been given in the name of a free market economy. They do not deserve our tax dollars. They deserve our scrutiny, for the economy itself will die if our ecosystems collapse. The good news is that renewable energy is not only achievable, but good economic policy. This is not a partisan debate. It is a human one. Clean air and a livable climate are inalienable human rights. And solving this crisis is not a question of politics. It is a question of our own survival. This is the most urgent of times and the most urgent of messages. Honored delegates, leaders of the world, I pretend for a living, but you do not. The people made their voices heard on Sunday around the world, and the momentum will not stop. But now it is your turn. The time to answer humankind's greatest challenge is now. We beg of you to face it with courage and honesty. Thank you.
And that was Leonardo DiCaprio
Doing his thing.
bringing a voice to, well, putting a very much more powerful voice. People have been on this train so far. There have been regular citizens, conservation groups, many other groups trying to bring attention to this. And they've also been met by opposition, mostly from the Republican side, granted. Very few, what's the word I want to use for this? A couple of people who they like to call them skeptics or deniers. I like to call them idiots because 97% of all scientists have now agreed that climate change is human caused. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. We play so big of a part into how the ecosystem of Earth, how it's affected now, because we have so much industry. We bring so much to the table. A couple of the things that he talked about. Cutting the carbon emissions, definitely, because right now our carbon emissions are at the highest point they've ever been in the history of Earth. I wonder, I'm gonna throw this to you guys. Do you guys believe politics is bad for real world solutions for problems this massive?
Do you mean politicians are getting involved and having a voice in it, or what do you mean?
Meaning that because it's politics,
right,
they can't all agree that something is the way it is, or something is something. Yeah. They can look at 2 and 2 and say, well, the Republicans are saying that that's not 4, and the Democrats are saying that it's 4.2. Like, no, it's 4. That's what it is. It adds up everywhere. Truth is constant. It's what it is here, it is there. This is a major, major, major situation that we're in right now.
Yeah, I think, and to answer your question, I think that politics is bad for real life situations. And I think that Leonardo was very profound when he said, this is a human issue. This is not a partisan issue. It's happening to us. And I think sometimes we get caught up in the bureaucracy, the game playing,
somebody
the politicking.
Having to win.
Yeah, somebody's got to win. Somebody's got to up somebody. But at the end of the day, we have something happening. The earth is actually eroding underneath our feet. Our air is changing. Our oxygen levels, what we're experiencing in life is changing. Yeah. And you can't act like it's not happening. Yeah. And I thought it was very powerful that he, coming from his realm of influence as an actor, would use his voice for this particular cause. I think it was very powerful.
Yeah, I think I definitely commend him on his not only just seriousness in the way that he delivered the speech, but his empathy for everything. He really was so moved by the whole thing, and you could tell that he's been, it's been brewing with him because, when I originally saw the pictures of everybody who was protesting, you see a couple celebrities and sometimes you're just not even sure where they're coming from, if they just want to be seen, blah, blah, blah. And that's an unfortunate thing, but it's the truth because we have such a different podium for celebrities versus civilians. And so in this case, I think he was very direct about where he stands. He just came as a citizen, and I love how he made sure to say he wasn't an expert. That to me was my favorite part, just because he was saying, I'm not coming as an actor. I'm trying to come as a person who lives in the same country you do, in the same soul you do, and then we need to make this work. So I think I definitely, commend him on that, and I know that after a speech like that, more people are going to listen. I mean, that's kind of how I decided to, get a little bit more tuned in.
Yeah.
But even to jump to that, I think, and this will probably bring forth questions, but I think that he was compelling them to move to action.
Yeah.
Which is when I said, so you know how I get when we have these beautiful moments where we have to come to action and then no one actually knows what that means. So in this case, I was thinking, what does that actually mean? He's talking to these group of very powerful people. What do they do? Yeah,
that's the hard part because a lot of the reason that, and I understand when certain Republicans they want to say they're climate change deniers or climate change skeptics. I wish they would just say what they really are, which is big business. Well, idiots, yes, but the ones who actually believe it's not happening, those are idiots. Those are the ones that I just completely dismiss. The ones who actually can say we don't want to spend the money to fix it. That I can understand. Not a reason to not do anything, but at least I can understand where they're coming from. It's the party of big business. It's the party of capitalism. I understand that totally.
But but let's be real. I mean, it's an interesting thing here because over $200 billion has been committed by the private sector.
Yeah.
So there's a sense in which the big business in the private sector is actually taking action, but the politicians are not taking action to do anything from a government standpoint, and that's where the problem is.
Yeah, that's a huge problem. I mean, there's money put in so many other things that I'm not saying that they shouldn't be, but I mean, where has the effort gone? How long has it been? I mean, it's been 20 years and that same business is getting the same amount of money or whatever the case is. So this is something that you can't deny because you want to be cheap. This is not the time.
Even some of the oil companies have started to really research because they are going to be the front runners. They're the ones with the money. So they have started to really look at clean energy and resources that aren't our old fossil fuel system that caused this mess in the first place.
Right.
Yeah, because that is a huge problem. Also, I want to go over this. There were over 100 heads of states there, and they came up with a declaration. They all signed a declaration to end the destruction of the world's forest, which has definitely, deforestation has been rampant, especially in poor countries. Big businesses come in, they're chopping down acres and acres and acres and acres of trees to put in factories, to build houses, to put in stuff. I want to ask this question, and I should, because I know what the answer is. Are we Earth's virus as human beings?
That's intense.
That's really
it's so intense. I don't want to be a virus, Rome. Okay, like,
I don't either. But I think about it when you look at it. Everything has a balance. Nature has a way of balancing out everything. But because we are we run the planet, pretty much.
That whole virus thing kind of, my skin is crawling on the virus
well,
thing.
I mean, think about it. We spread.
Predators. I think we're predators of
we're
the earth.
definitely predators.
I think we're taking from Earth, but we're not giving anything back to Earth. We're not taking care of the Earth. And the thing is that it's there that if we take care of it, it continues to give to us. So it's cyclical. We have better air because we take care. We eliminate our carbon emissions. I mean, do you know what your carbon emission footprint is, blueprint?
It's I try. You can almost try to keep it small, but you can't.
But I think that we can, and I struggle with it. I admit that I struggle with keeping my emissions low. I mean, but it's simply because I feel entitled to have the luxuries of life and to have things easy and have things at my fingertips, And I think that if we're going to ever play our part, because each one of us play a part in it, and we can look at the politicians, we can look at the big business, the private sectors or what have you, but what are we doing individually?
I think ignorance is a huge thing too. Is that just me? Because for me, I don't feel like all my friends are sitting around like, ooh, how do we save the earth today? I mean, just my personal encounter in my circle. So if people I know don't know, and then people they know don't know that what we're supposed to be doing, then how many more people, should be tuning in, and would be watching that speech and be like, wow, I didn't even realize. I know when I, trickling down to when we first got our rundown and what we were talking about, I took his speech and went back to a couple other speeches and a couple other things, and that's how I started understanding. But if I didn't do that, I wouldn't really know. I mean, and that's an unfortunate thing to admit, but I feel like that's my truth, and I feel like that could be a lot of other people's truth as well. Yeah,
because we as individuals, it's so hard to even think about it.
Yeah.
You'll do as much as you can as a person,
sure,
but this problem is beyond that now. This problem's way beyond that. The glaciers are melting at an alarming rate,
right?
Much more than any other rate in the history of I don't even want to say humans. I just want to say in the history of Earth.
But I mean, if you even look at it geographically, because while we're talking about this, I'm thinking about my life and my lifestyle, and I'm thinking about how many small steps can I take that would actually have an impact.
Yeah.
I live in Southern California for the most part, although I'm back and forth on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And when I'm here, I don't want to take public transportation.
Yeah.
I put my car on the freeway to sometimes go 3 blocks.
Yeah. Right. All right. 3 blocks.
Not only does that help a brother slim down.
3. Come on, man. Just walk it.
No, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. But it's something about the mindset where I live in this culture, in this climate, that really perpetuates the thing that contributes to this, this global impact that we're talking about. And yet maybe something as simple as that. I'm also thinking about how many things are plugged in my house and I left before I came here.
See, that's the thing that's very interesting, because as soon as I have roommates now, and they'll leave the fan and the curling iron, as long as it's off, I'm like, that is I literally turn off everything, turn off every light, because that is a huge thing that people do not think about.
For your bill, or are you doing that for?
I am doing it. And that is the point. That I am doing it.
Doesn't make a difference why I'm doing it.
It doesn't, not today at least. I mean,
right. I got you.
Half.
But I think it's important to know, and even for our viewing audience, to be able to say that there's some small part you can play, because we're not just sitting here having an opinion and looking at the politicians and looking at even our celebrities, make these statements and let's see what they do. No, the real question is, what can I do to play a part in saving the planet?
Yeah.
What can I do? And so maybe that's where we all begin.
That's good.
That's the first step. That's easily the first step. Just trying to find out what it is that you can do as an individual to say, hey, what can I do to help this problem?
Yeah.
And hopefully that spreads and it goes up the ladder. Because it's eventually going to get to the major CO2 producers in the world, which is big industry. It has to reach them at some point, which is where we come to that political problem, because you have to have government to step in and say, hey, you guys got to cap your CO2 emissions.
But we're waiting for government to make the move, and we don't trust them, if I'm honest. So we're waiting for them to be the leaders in something, and we don't trust them. The truth is that we actually have the power to impact all of these big business and political and special interest group movements.
I don't think we realize that some of the time.
We don't realize that we actually have the power.
We don't, because
we know we don't.
What
we don't recognize it.
What the government does, and not that they're always caring about us necessarily, but some of what they do is impacted by what we do. So if we don't know how to handle our power and know what to put forth to them and to other, people in power, then it just becomes, them leading us and us falling like cattle. And even if we don't trust them, they're the only people right now that have some type of, I guess, reigning power, something that you can look at. Because I wouldn't necessarily look at another civilian and be like, yeah, you definitely have the most power, when you don't have that right. I don't know. You're not in the right position necessarily. It's not right, but I think if we understood
But you have the power that's just kind of like innately given to you, because any politician wants to be the voice for his or her constituents, right? We are the constituents. So depending on what adjustments we're ready to make will impact ultimately what's going on in that jurisdiction, if that makes sense.
Sure, yeah.
So if we talk about dollars, we should talk to small businesses. We should talk to homeowners associations. We should talk to subdivisions and communities to find out what can we do where we are, because that ultimately has a trickle-down effect.
Well, we have to do
trickle up.
Yeah, trickle up. Yeah. And we have to in California. We're in the middle of the longest drought we've ever had.
Yeah.
Longest drought.
Yeah, and we just had another water main break on Sunset today.
We did. I heard that.
Right down the street from the Comedy Store.
He was like, I was definitely right.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, man, I know that. That's the parking lot that I always park at. I'm going, and I'm watching just millions of gallons of water go, thinking, wow, because our infrastructure, it just won't sustain it. But I do want to commend them before we move on to the next thing, because we're approaching the 20-minute mark. I want to commend them for halting all the. Let me see, make sure I get my quote right. I want to make sure I got it right. They are all the heads of state came together. They're promising to end the destruction of world forests by 2030. They're funneling over $1 billion in aid to countries that really, really need the help for it. Indonesia, Peru, places that have the last rainforest. Our CO2 scrubbers, basically, that we are cutting down for whatever reason. But yeah, all 27 nations signed it, including the U.S. Proud of the U.S. finally for jumping in on something like this. Yeah, Indonesia, Brazil, Nigeria, Mexico, Peru. Those are the areas that still have our intact rainforest. Deforestation is accounting for 12% of our climate change right now. That's what's leading to this global warming. That's what's heating us up.
And we're giving
part
up
of
a
it.
billion, or did you say 100 billion?
$1 billion. It could be so much more.
Billion.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about,
Yeah, $1 billion is a drop in the hat.
dignitaries from around the world. $1 billion, that's a drop
$1 billion.
in the, come on.
That's not even.
But it's a start, you guys. I don't want to
It is a
discount
start.
it because
Yeah,
at least.
but I think, and I get you. It's a start. We have to start somewhere. But we've been having this conversation for how
a long time.
And
Yeah, long
and
time.
that's where we are.
Yeah, they're going up against some very powerful corporate interests. Corporate interest is going to be. That's what's
But
good. This is going to come down
interests
to.
have committed
Yeah, they have.
200 billion
Yeah.
to be disseminated over the next 15 months.
Yeah, they have.
That's crazy. I didn't even
The-
realize those numbers.
The problem is, I don't think all of them are involved. As much.
yeah.
No, not all of them.
Yeah, and that's
But
the
our
problem.
governmental structure is not involved.
Yeah, that's
I think
true.
that's
true. So we'll see where we
thing.
we'll see where we
Because the
go.
corporate
This
sector's
is-
doing that kind of thing for probably a tax break.
Yeah,
so
of
that's
course.
Not, I mean,
Let's
Of
not
course,
even
that's
go
exactly
there.
what they're
Down.
doing.
I'm
Yeah.
like, if we go there,
you just got to keep the numbers
Wow.
real.
I mean, if you want to make people enact change, you got to go to the dollars first. That's Martin Luther King he started the Montgomery Boys boycott and got the buses desegregated in Montgomery, Alabama, not because white people wanted to share the space, because the bus system was about to go bankrupt.
Because guess who was riding that bus?
Yep.
Even though we ride in the back.
and sips water.
Yep.
And sips water
I gotta
there.
do it now.
All right.
This
So
is the Black Tea Party.
since we turned to that, I want to go ahead and talk about.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Let
man.
me sip water beforehand.
I'm gonna go ahead. Yeah, because I know you guys are about to heat up on this one.
Get the paperwork together.
Levar Jones and Sean Groubert. Sean Groubert, State Trooper, South Carolina, former actually State Trooper, because he's been fired. He's been charged actually.
PR move. I don't buy it. Go ahead.
You don't
I'm
buy
sorry.
it?
Ooh, okay, wait a minute.
I'm
We're gonna show the video.
What?
We're gonna show the video. Get that queued up to 40 seconds. Basically, Levar was pulled over for a seatbelt violation,
The
and
video says it all, Boo. The video says it all.
I'm just gonna play the tape. This is obviously Sean Groupert's his trooper car here. This is his dash cam that we're looking at, and let's see. Yeah, it wasn't queued up to the right spot, I don't think.
Well, not
Because
another car in sight. He's got to find something to
Yeah,
do.
because this isn't the. Here it is. Here we go. And there's Levar.
I can't watch this again.
And that was Sean Groubert shooting Levar Jones at a gas station. I see a lot of right and I see a lot of wrong in that video. I see a lot of lack of common sense in that video. There's fault on both sides of this, but I'm throwing this to you guys first. I want to hear what your takes are.
Well, you got me going now because you said there's fault on both sides.
And okay, so I couldn't even watch it again because I watched it earlier today and it was really it was really tragic because the first time I watched it I didn't realize what I was seeing, and then the second time I watched it, I looked at Levar. You said Levar's actions, his movements. I heard every single word he said, and it really broke my heart because why do you automatically see a black man and see a threat? Why do we have that conversation once a week? Why can I rely on that conversation once a week?
Yeah.
I
It
can't
keeps
understand
happening.
that.
Yeah.
And I really didn't, I hate when we have to go to race. I absolutely hate it. But it really irritated me because I'm thinking if you saw a redneck white boy doing the exact same thing, what would your actions be? Now, I've actually gotten pulled over by a cop when I was super young. I was probably 18, just got my first car or whatever, and I was an idiot. The cop pulled me over. I think I ran a stop sign. So the cop pulls me over, and I jump out the car. I'm like, oh my God, what did I do?
Yeah.
He starts freaking out at
Yeah.
me. Did he pull a gun? No, he did not. But he starts yelling, and he's like, it was a black cop, and he's like, what are you doing? Get back in the car, blah, blah, blah. So I understood that part. But when you had clear, and when I got pulled over, it was 9:30 p.m. So you can't see
was
what I'm doing. I
nighttime.
could have been crazy or whatever.
Yeah.
This is straight 5 p.m. in the afternoon.
Yeah.
The sun is out. You can see, there's a clear shot. I could see him from the internet.
Yeah.
Exactly what he was doing, exactly the way he ducked his head. That seems like you're going for a gun?
Well, I think there's room to say that he moved pretty quickly.
I
He
analyzed
moved-
it.
Listen. The brother moved real fast, and when brothers move quick, you don't know what a brother about to do. And
Yeah.
if you
Why
are,
is it got to be a brother? It's a person.
well, I'm just saying this brother moved quick.
Yeah.
When a brother
we
moves
ain't
that
saying
quick.
it was all of them, but that day it was one. And
Right.
I'm not abstaining the trooper from what he did. All I know is that when I get pulled over, I'm not out of my car. That's my first thing. The traffic stop is the most dangerous part of a cop's job. When you're out there on patrol and you pull a cop pulls you over, when he's walking up to your car, he doesn't know if his life's about to end. That's why they come up and they usually have their hand on their gun.
Yeah, but
because
we-
they're not sure.
But that was
that's ridiculous. We don't know if our lives are about to end. That's the
Right.
truth.
and vice
I mean,
versa.
but I think that
Yeah.
we should have a conversation over what happens when you get pulled over.
Yeah.
How do you
Like, what's
handle that?
protocol?
Because
Yeah.
I think for him, had that been me, let me just say that, had that been me, first of all, he was already out of the car, looked like he was about to get out and pump his gas.
Right.
If the cop says, hey, turn around with your hands up or whatever he says, that's what I
Stop.
need to do.
Yeah, you need to
And if
just
he
chill.
says, give me your license, can I reach in my back pocket?
Yeah.
I'm going to reach in my back pocket. I'm getting
That's it. Yeah.
Or can
I
I
That's
understand.
the
my
That
issue.
was
car?
that was the part that he missed. I get
Yeah.
that. And I thought of just that moment when I was so stupid and really did not know. I really thought, oh, I didn't do anything. Like, what did I do?
Yeah.
I'm an innocent girl, blah, blah, blah. And I jumped out of my car.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a lot older, so I'm assuming he should have had that kind of knowledge. But who's to say that he's been pulled over 50 times?
Yeah.
Who knows if that's his first time?
If you listen to the whole thing, like I know you did, I know you have, I know I have. When you watch it without sound, the first thing you think of is this cop was this brother just turned around, went in his car, came back out real quick. Of course the cop's gonna have his gun out and ready to shoot. Now he didn't identify what the object was this guy was turning around with. That's where the cop is wrong, because he already had to drop on him. He's got his gun aimed right at his chest. My problem came when I heard the audio, and I hear the cop clearly say, "Give me your license." And the guy goes, "Okay," and he turns around. Right
to
there.
get his license.
Yeah, he
I don't
turned around to get his
understand.
license, and I know what he was thinking. I know he's thinking, I'm just a guy turning around to grab my license to hand to the police
Seriously.
officer. But on the flip side of that, are we at that point in America where you have to remember that
That you're a black guy.
you're
Who wants
black
to walk,
guy?
Who wants to walk
Hell
around
yes.
like that?
Yeah.
No, that is
You gotta
ridiculous.
remember.
Like, that's unfair because
It's
not
unfair,
just.
but it's reality. Listen, it's open season on shooting
Especially
black
right
people
now.
for whatever reason. And I hate to say that, but it's
Yeah.
open season. And whether or not it is the ignorance, whether or not it's the intimidation or the bigotry and the racism, it is open season. And I'm telling any brother watching, if you get pulled over, slow down. Take a breath and realize that an abrupt move could cost you your life. And that's a sad commentary to have
Yeah.
to make, but that's what's happening. As soon as that brother ducked in that car to get that wallet, I knew he had made a bad mistake.
Yeah. Like the
That's like,
fact that
I really
he didn't,
I really had to watch it. Just the way he ducked. Yes, I understand.
if he
it was-
could have just froze in the car, like just, I got my wallet, wait a minute, I just made a fast move in front of a cop. Now, I'm just going to stand there. I'm sitting there bent over. He got to come up to me at that point. I don't care
I
if he
just
got his
don't know
gun
why
or
he
what.
had to shoot. You can be ready
And
to
that's
shoot.
where he's wrong.
But
I
he
think he shot out of fear.
He shot out of
4
fear.
times.
Yeah.
He
He
shot
had
out
nothing.
of fear.
The guy literally after the first one, the guy jumps back.
Yeah.
The,
I
4
get-
times.
Yeah.
I heard 4 shots.
If he didn't shoot out of fear, Then he shot out of something else.
Fine, give it fear, whatever, if you want to. I'm just like, whatever, because I hate to know that every black guy in my life, or this has to apply to black women, correct? Or am I just crazy?
Not as much.
It
depends.
It depends on the situation.
Yeah.
Oh my
and how much she's talking.
Got that right.
I'm just saying.
So if I did the exact same thing, I'm screwed?
No,
I don't think you're screwed. I don't think they look
I
at
don't know what
you
these
the
folk
same
do.
way they look at Don, the same way they look at me. Especially, I'm walking up, I got dreads. So
I can't. You
they
can't have
already
you can't
have a
leave your hair-
stereotype
oh
about
my
You
me.
would have been shot at just to get you to pull
cause.
over.
They have their gun, yeah.
even
They
funny.
firing past my car immediately.
Oh,
They
no.
already got their
Pull
hand
over
on their gun.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's
Those
so
are, those are things that unfortunately I have to think about when I'm dealing with a cop. If I ever get pulled, I got a lot of friends who are cops out here in LA, on LAPD and many other San
that's what they
Fernando
tell
and a
you?
bunch of other. No, they don't tell me anything like that. But you have to remember, because I know them and because a few of them are friends of mine, I know that they're people, and I know that they're not free. They're not free from all of this clutter that the media throws at you, the stereotypes and all of that. That's still in their head. Behind that badge is still a person. They just happen to have a badge and a gun. So when they react with that same type, those guys aren't immune. They can still react with that same type of bigotry, that same type of, and even in
As
this
we
case,
know very well.
I don't even think that was a racial thing. I think that was a guy leaning in his car after I told him to get his ID. The cop didn't even think I just told him to get his damn ID.
He seriously didn't. He
Yeah.
just said, get my license. And that's what really irritated me about the conversation after.
Yeah.
Okay, you shoot him. He's on the floor. You ask him, are you hurt? Did you,
Yeah.
are you hit? And you guys definitely tune into the rest of the video. You have to hear the whole thing.
Yeah, you got to hear them talking.
Yeah, because it's that's when it got tragic to me. Where was the full-on apology? You should have gave me a full-on apology,
Yeah.
not that whole, well, I have help coming for you.
Yeah.
Well, I told you to get
Hold
in your
on.
car.
Yeah.
Well, this is not time for explanation. You straight shot me.
You don't apologize to me. You done shot me. I'm bleeding. Don't apologize. Keep your little funky apology.
I mean, but give me something.
Give me some help. Make sure I pull through this,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna deal with you later.
I'm
Let
sue
me know
you
you're
later.
human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sue you later.
But I give you a little bit resistance because I think that there was some racial profiling that went along here. This obviously was a seatbelt.
Yeah, this was a seatbelt violation.
A seatbelt violation.
We even hear
from
that.
a guy
Yeah.
who had already stopped his car.
Seriously.
Who had gotten out of his car at the gas station.
Okay,
There's
yeah.
no reason
At that
to
point,
have a
yeah.
gun drawn
Yeah, for a seatbelt violation.
for a seatbelt violation
I can
from
understand
a guy who's
that
about to
part.
pump some gas. And what fool shoots a gun at a gas station?
Yeah.
That's what
yeah.
I'm just-
It's 5
Multiple
PM.
shots.
This is
Multiple.
and why
Yeah.
why would he jump out the car and say this is the perfect time for me to
Yeah.
for me to what? You just asked me to get my license. I don't
Yeah.
understand.
I don't know
Yeah.
what he saw, obviously, but we saw everything that happened before the shooting. We saw how the car was aimed away from this guy's truck. We don't even know where the cop was headed. It looked like he was about to pull out, and he thought, there's a seatbelt violation. I'm going to get this guy.
That's so whack. I mean, I
So-
don't know. I'm not saying he should have like turned the other cheek, but over the seatbelt, if that's serious.
If that was the case, we used to dealing with that, white people and black people. We used to dealing with seatbelt violations. That's cool. The difference is most people don't get shot behind seatbelt violations.
I'll wear my seatbelt wrong.
Yeah, I wear
don't
mine.
deal with seatbelt
I wear
violations.
mine, but I drive a sports car, so I better wear mine.
But
So
I'm just compelled to believe that the racial tension, the profiling took place outside the frame
Yeah.
of what we saw, because the guy was already out of his car. His car was parked. He was outside of his car when the camera
Yeah.
turned towards him.
Yeah.
So
It just made me sad because his commentary was like, "I just got off work. What are
Yeah.
you talking about? I literally just
Yeah.
parked." I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and I'm hearing him thinking like, "This is exactly how I would feel."
Yeah.
Like just so almost like betrayed. If you want me to get my stupid license for my seatbelt, fine, I'll give you my license, but. You're gonna shoot me
Mm-hmm.
because you weren't sure what I was doing. I mean, I get it, protection, whatever. You didn't have to shoot 4 times.
Yeah.
That's unnecessary. As soon as he shot back, and did you see how fast his hands
yeah,
went
the
up?
hands
I mean,
went
it
up.
was like
Yeah, hands went up.
it's
He
like
got
we're
back.
trained to just.
After that second shot, hands was like, whoa,
is
I don't know
going
what's going
on?
on.
if you watch it, you actually see the blood spray.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I didn't.
Yeah, you see the blood spray. It hit him the first shot.
Yeah, the
And
first shot
I gotta
hit him.
say, I'm
Yeah.
thankful that he's still here.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh! of
thankfully he
I'm
course.
thankful
survived,
because
yeah.
maybe this particular incident can provoke some conversation,
Yeah.
even between the perpetrator of the crime
Yeah.
and the victim.
Now, this is the perfect situation because this isn't a case where the cops protected their own and circled the wagons and said, we're not going to go after, we're not, going to touch this and we're going to protect this guy and kids. It's not Darren Wilson. You know, we still waiting on that one. We still don't know what's gonna happen with
That's
that. I guess I don't know. Maybe they said somebody got to go down for one of these shootings, and
And you've only worked here.
I think-
You already got your medal. So.
I think
Yeah.
somebody was smart enough to make a PR move.
yeah.
I really do.
You always think it's a PR move.
I do think it's a PR move. I'm telling you, this man got fired right away.
That's the thing. I mean,
We have no time for an investigation.
And see, that's the problem. I think
you
we're
shot
at
a
that
black
point.
man, you're fired. I think it does
I
sound
think
a
it's
little
great
less.
he got fired. But come
But
on, I
is it
think they didn't
though?
want
Like-
another march. I don't think they wanted a riot on their
Even-
hands.
even
Let's
though-
fire you. They may. I think he's even in on it. We're gonna fire you.
Well, I mean,
we're gonna let you go. And
We're gonna pay you on this.
he did get charged.
We'll pay you on the table.
We'll pay you
We'll
for
help you
another
and your
year.
family. And we'll take this thing probably to court.
He got charged with aggravated assault and battery. I
can't.
understand that. Well, you definitely charged that guy. I was shocked that it was only aggravated assault and battery. That was part of my hang up. Like,
Attempted
whoa, wait a
murder is
minute,
what you're
'cause
thinking?
he pulled his gun,
He
started shooting on an
got
unarmed guy.
fired. It's a charge. It pacifies.
Yeah.
That's true.
It pacifies an enraged community. They do not want this on their hands. It's too much going on right now. If it keeps intensifying somewhere, it's going to get completely out of control.
Yeah.
So if he would have shot a white guy, would he like the exact same thing, but it was a white guy? Would he be fired with the exact same charges?
He probably wouldn't have fired if it was a white guy.
But let's say he
That'd have
did. Say that everything was the exact same. How would his?
Oh, you working with too many hypotheticals.
Yeah.
tonight.
No,
I
but
don't-
I wouldn't want to know because now it helps me decide if I agree with you or not when it comes to a PR move because he gets fired immediately. But what is it because he shot a black man? Is it because he shot a man out of like what is it really?
I'm
that we're
gonna
firing him
tell
for?
you this, and you'll be able to relate to this too. This gas station is right outside of Columbia, South Carolina. Columbia is where the University of South Carolina is, and it's not actually the history of that city isn't the best when you're talking about race relations.
Nope.
So I don't know if because it kind of gives credence to what Don is saying. I don't know if Columbia knows they know their history and they said we can't deal with this. We can't have another Ferguson. We're gonna go ahead and nip this in the bud immediately. And this brother didn't even make it back. You know, this cop
Right,
didn't
they
even
call
make
him,
it back
by
to
the
the
way,
yeah.
We're
The
gonna do
camera-
what Ferguson didn't do.
yeah.
The camera fed live into this. You're fired.
Yeah, we gonna take your badge and your gun at the scene. Like you ain't gonna even make it back to the
The
station,
interesting
bro.
thing is, look how less we're talking about this
I
incident.
Yeah.
know.
But that's to me,
Yeah.
that's the PR move. It's designed. Get in front of the 8-ball, fire him, work the rest of it out in the court.
wow.
I can understand
So
that.
You
so
put a lid on
just-
I mean, we've seen this so many times. We saw it with Oscar Grant. The cop that shot Oscar Grant only got, and that was that was probably the worst police on innocent black man shooting I've ever seen. With him in handcuffs, laying on the BART platform, and the cop shot him in his back, killed him. That was probably the worst. And obviously, if you watch that video, you see all the cops looking shocked. Everybody was like, even the guy who shot the shot was like, oh, crap, what did I just do? What was that? Because he claims he pulled his taser, even though a taser and a gun weigh completely different.
Like you had to
but-
shoot it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think there's room for some error in this, and I know I sound crazy for even saying it, but I think that there's a moment of probably hysteria or adrenaline and maybe even confusion. You know, like this guy shot 4
Oh
times.
my
Yeah.
gosh. You're letting confusion run your mind as a cop.
No, I get you, and I think that's a problem.
That's part of the
That is a
problem.
problem,
I can't.
but I
That's
don't
a
think
huge
it's an
problem.
impossibility.
It's
don't think
probably
it's an
not, but now that
impossibility.
you brought it up, I mean, okay, what? Okay, then fire every cop on every law enforcement team everywhere, and let's just start over. Like, please, because you're telling me that confusion, hysteria, all that influences them as a cop when you're the only person right now that we're supposed to look to protect and serve?
You
How
know
am
what?
I supposed to handle that situation?
I'll throw you this to you. Yes, they are affected by that, but they're trained to not react to it. I think this
Is
guy.
training like few videos?
Well, no, the training that they actually
'Cause
go
I
through.
can't.
Fair.
The training that they actually go through, I don't know about South Carolina. I know about a lot of the training out here. They're trained to not react to their emotion. They're not supposed to. Obviously, this guy did. We can tell because he was shooting that gun out of fear. That was immediately like, oh, he turning around with an AK. I'm firing.
Only hit him once.
Yeah. That was it. He literally panicked and just went trigger happy real quick. 4 shots. He fired 4 times.
Started
Like,
yelling and everything. It was so. it was just so aggressive.
Yeah.
It was so aggressive, and like I said, the conversation following after just wasn't satisfying.
I can't say it was.
I heard fear in the
Yeah,
cop.
that was fear there because
you heard it.
if there was
That's a good point.
aggression,
That's a
he
good
would have
point.
kept walking forward. This
Yeah.
cop was strafing.
Yeah.
He was trying to get the cover because he just knew in his head this guy's turning around with a Glock and he's trying to take me out. Now, that brings up the question of the racial stereotypes and implications of that.
Absolutely.
Because that's in his head. You have the herky-jerky movement that the guy took real quick. I mean, granted, I know the cop said, get your license. And common sense says, you know what, I'm going to grab my license.
Which isn't on me, and I'm going to get it. And
in this situation, though, we're
blah,
at that
blah,
point
blah. I'm
where
just
you have to
irritated with
say,
the
you have to remember that as a black person in this country today,
so
you
annoying.
actually have to go, and it's sad, but you have to go, you know what? This dude could shoot me at any moment.
Because
So let me tell her, officer, I'm going to reach into my car. It's sad that we have to be that deliberate.
Hands up.
Yeah. Matter of fact, officer, it's on the front seat. You get it.
Right. Exactly. You go there. I'm not gonna move. I'm gonna stay right here. I need y'all to look at me. My hands are up.
I feel
Yeah.
like you
Yelling
would
at
so
everybody.
do that. I feel
Are
like you
you
would
kidding?
so
Absolutely.
do that.
Absolutely, I would. I get
I
it.
think the frustration is because, okay, if we continue talking about this conversation, then they do stem from law enforcement. Law enforcement has families. Those families have wives, kids, grandmas. I interact with those people. So you mean while I'm hanging out with my white girlfriend, I'm supposed to think, okay, right now in this situation, we're about to get pulled over. She's probably going to run out the car and be free. And I'm like, what am I, you know what I'm saying? My frustration is because I don't roll with only one type of group. I refuse to ever do that. I refuse to have that type of mindset.
I'm the same way.
But now I'm supposed to interject into my life out of nowhere. Like I've told you guys plenty of times, that wasn't how I was raised, and I refuse to like decide that I'm a victim, blah blah blah. But the truth is,
Yeah, you got to be aware.
Well, I don't think you should identify yourself as a victim. And
I
even-
mean, hands up before they even. He told me to get my license.
But again, I mean, and we are having a different conversation.
I
as it
know,
relates to
I
women
know,
of
I
color
know.
And,
Yeah,
men of
and
color.
men of color.
I think that men of color are seen as a
We're seeing-
intimidation
yeah.
factor.
We intimidate. I've been told that.
Right.
I've been told that.
And we have yet to get a real answer as to why we are seen to be a threat.
And in Hollywood, I have had Hollywood jobs where they told me, don't have a shaved head. That intimidates white people. Don't have dreadlocks. That intimidates white people. Don't be this way. Don't be that way. And I'm like, well, what the hell kind of way y'all want me to be?
Well, what?
What am I supposed to be?
I
Because
see a skinhead white dude, and I'm intimidated. I mean, I just agree, right?
Yeah.
It goes both ways.
the
the
does.
stereotypes
I think
go
that's
both
why
ways.
this conversation is so very necessary.
Yeah.
Because we look at certain people, white folk, and we say, okay, I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like we look at certain black folk and say the same thing. I would not lie and act like I'm the perfect black girl who's seen a black guy, who has a certain type of look, certain clothing or whatever, and not decided to call a friend, walk around fast. And that actually is my I guess my biggest moment of kind of sadness, because I have to take in my realism too. I come on this, show and I preach for us, and not just for black people, but for people, and it's all good. But then I still have my own things. And I think that's really hard to identify with. That I know that there's definitely been some days that I'm like, but you definitely got these ripped up clothing. But you live in the same neighborhood. Like I just did, and then I found out he was just raking his leaves I had that moment, and it was really.
And that goes. That's not even a race thing. That goes across the board. That could be somebody white, somebody black, somebody Hispanic.
But it's
But
profiling.
in this specific
it's
case,
racial
But it is
profiling.
in this
profiling.
specific case,
Yeah.
I'm
It
talking
is.
about black men that I have. Definitely.
Are you talking about brothers?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to
sister,
say.
come
That's
on now.
Look, I'm
You
not gonna
killed
lie
it
to you. I
because-
will never lie to you. I know. I think that's why I said it was something hard to understand, because even for me, I've definitely had those moments. They're not repetitive, and they're, I'll definitely come on here and preach for him, because what the heck, I definitely wouldn't have seen him and said he's about to pull out a gun, but I have had those moments, and I'll be in a sketchy neighborhood, and it is a black man who looks a little, and I feel like you've said that before too.
Because we try to be balanced on this, and I am balanced in that perspective. Just like Brown, I could not. I couldn't roll with the masses on the Brown argument, because I think there was some aggression that was thrown there. I think he showed up in the world to be violent and a little overly aggressive, and I think, there was room to explore that. Here, I think this cop was definitely a little on something, because he shot too quickly. But I also understand, if he is intimidated by the black man, that quick move into that truck set him off.
Who's the onus on to fix that? Who's the onus on to get that intimidation fact? Because Granted, a lot of brothers, especially like a lot of young brothers, they play into that. That's their machismo thing. They play into I'm hard, I'm a thug, and
Still?
stereotype. Oh yeah.
Oh, I thought we'd wrap
they,
that up and we all wear
they
like
still
Abercrombie
play
and
into
Fitch
it.
now. I thought, okay.
Oh no, we far from that.
Oh, okay. I was like, I thought we were all
Even
on our
if you go
H&M
back-
swag and no one even.
Go back to
but I
Trayvon.
lied,
If you go back
I
to
guess.
Trayvon, right?
Yeah.
And this is a little interesting to say, but Trayvon fought a man that had a gun. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. He actually went
So
head up with a guy that had a
we
gun.
will
Now,
do
granted,
that.
he was being followed, but
With
yeah.
iced tea and some Skittles.
Yeah.
So are we saying that we just
did.
have?
No, I'm just saying that we as men have a tendency to not be punked.
Yeah.
You know, and to kind of show that hard side because we're not going to be punked.
I think that comes from
the
a
way it
lot.
is.
That comes from pressure within Black culture, but also within
True.
other cultures as well. I don't.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
feel like that's if a Black man is at work and he's crying, he's telling his feelings, blah blah. He's trying to be a person. It's
They-
not
they-
a lot.
they clown
Everyone
you
is
for it.
judging, not
Yeah.
just Black people. Everyone
Yeah,
is
they
judging.
clown
So
you
I
for
think
it.
that and that's unfortunate because that starts at such a young age. Man, I've heard when you're at the daycare or you're helping at the YMCA and you hear the dad say, "Don't punk out, help,
Yeah.
step up," even when they're playing basketball or whatever. Like that's when
Yeah.
I heard it the most when I'm volunteering for kids or helping them out. I'm hearing their fathers or mothers, yelling at their kids, and it starts so early.
Even the another sign of that was not to go back to that story, but Adrian Peterson. If you look at those text messages, he was proud of his son for not crying.
Yeah.
He's tough as nails. He's this. He's that. We, especially in the Black culture, we embrace that toughness, and I think it's time for us to look at that as within our own culture,
Right.
and we have to own that. We have to own the fact that because we want to look tough and because we glorify this look sometimes, it's not all of us, definitely not all of us. Black people are so we're all over the place now.
Right.
But there's a great I don't even want to say the word majority, but there's a good number of Black men who embrace that I'm hard look, and it leads to situations like that.
But in all fairness, I think that's a conversation to have, but I'd like to keep that conversation separate from this incident because this guy wasn't trying to be hard.
Yeah, this guy was just trying to
guy
drive
was
home.
straight- on some gas.
Yeah, this guy just wanted some gas at the shell.
And that's it. And he didn't do anything that I think perpetuated that thing that
Yeah,
we're
he
talking
didn't.
about. I think that when you look at Brown in Ferguson, you can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we had footage of his attitude leading
Yeah,
up.
right before it.
But
Yeah.
this kid here, this was a racial thing. I think he was profiled, and I think the cop was a little trigger happy.
Oh, I know for a fact.
I won't say
yeah.
trigger happy in terms of that being his intention.
Yeah, he was scared of a Black man who
He was scared of a Black
He
brother.
couldn't trust that a Black man was reaching for his wallet and not a Glock.
So sad. That's like
That's it.
what?
But would
I don't
you?
know, I
Would
just-
you?
That's the real question.
I don't like that question.
I know you don't like it. It's an
But
inconvenient question.
that's one
I
of
don't
those
like
inconvenient
that. I'm like,
truths.
I
That's
just-
an inconvenient truth,
Because I
but
was
it's
You're
real.
saying that you see
I know
Black
that's
people a certain way
which,
at times.
No, at times and in a specific moment, which was like I said, a really hard thing for me to admit because now we're talking about this, and I don't want him to be seen that way. Blah blah blah. But I think it's a safety issue. If I saw a white guy looking the exact same way I saw that same Black guy that I remember that day, I would have probably done. I would have done the exact same thing. It's just that it happened to be a Black guy, and I always have this proudness about Black men saying like, why do they see them that way? And then I have the moment where I see them that way, and I'm like. So that was tough. I mean, I don't know. I was walking home alone. It's 11 o'clock. I don't know. It's tough. That's.
But now you're painting the scene, which has nothing to do with the character of the man.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Now you've decided what he
the
is.
time of day,
Yeah.
whether or not the sun is up or the moon is up.
Oh, that's it. But that's the thing.
Absolutely.
I'm alone. I'm cautious because I was alone at that time of night walking home.
Everyone's going to have a context. You see what I'm saying? And what we're really trying to
Somebody's
get
gonna
to
say, "It
is
was
the
6
character,
a.m..
the character, the substance of the person, and not so much, oh, this was kind of an eerie place to walk. I was walking by myself. It was raining. He had a hood on. All of those are extenuating circumstances that literally have nothing to do with the way you see
Yeah,
a
the way
person.
you saw it. Yeah.
And I think that we're all challenged with seeing people, for the content of their character. Martin Luther.
So
Martin Luther
how would I have the? How would?
Martin Luther the King.
I don't know. I don't
as
even know
they
where
say
I want to go with this now.
in the Coming to America skit.
I mean, I think it's,
But it's
is there
real.
an answer? I don't think there's an answer. I think we all have to work through our stuff.
Because I still want to figure out how. Because you said whose responsibility is this, and where do we trickle down? So are we selling literally where do we go?
I think it starts with us first. I take
Even
the
us
Malcolm
who
X
don't
approach.
realize it's us.
Yeah.
Because some of us don't even realize that's
know.
what we're. You know what I mean?
I
I mean,
know.
I have a lot of You know,
I take the El Haj approach on this. I got to go with Malcolm. We have to become better ourselves. We have to realize what it is that we glorify, and we got to tell the truth about it. We got to get to that point where it's like, okay, yeah, we had our era of that. We did. Even, Tupac even was trying to embrace that culture and at the same time bring it up to a new level, bring it to a new place, a new thinking. But he was taken out too by those same type of brothers.
But see, and this sounds a little eerie for me to say, but he doesn't represent me.
Yeah, he doesn't.
The image, the stereotype, the personification of that type of character and personality, that doesn't represent me. And so it's hard to have this conversation because so many of us, we got subcultures amongst ourselves.
There should be. I mean, it's like white people are like, oh, there's so many of us. We're all different. Well, I mean, there should be. We should have this. We should be at the point that we're all different, that somebody doesn't represent you just because they have their skin tone.
Absolutely.
I think that's an awesome point.
And that's very true. That's very true. It's the same reason that I get mad at people that think, oh, you're going to vote for Obama because he's black. Like, no.
I really just like what he had to say.
I think we just should learn to see everyone according to who they are
as a person.
And not see them through the filter of a stereotype.
Yeah.
And that's a personal challenge.
That's the challenge.
That's a challenge to say, how am I looking at... I look at some of my people the same way white folk look at them. I'm going to be perfectly honest.
Oh, yeah.
And I look at white folk sometimes the way they look at us.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So exactly.
I do. I admit that, and I have to talk myself out of the filter because I know that filter doesn't allow me to have live in the world that I really want to live in.
Exactly. Yeah. That's good.
It goes back to that same issue that they had with Mark Cuban when the Sterling thing was going on, and Mark Cuban said, if I see a black guy midnight walking down the street, hoodie on, I'm going to go to the other side of the street. And if I go over there and there's a white guy, bald head, tatted all up,
I'm coming right back.
I'm coming right back. And so Mark Cuban ended up walking down the line in the middle of the street, actually, on that conversation. But, yeah, that's it. Go to Dodger Stadium.
He kept leaning, He kept leaning.
He kept leaning. Yeah, one way or another. Okay, so.
I know you want to get an Eric
real quick,
Holder.
we're about to hit Eric Holder for a minute because we only got about 9 minutes left. But, first black attorney general stepping down.
Yeah.
It's not a surprise. He announced that he was going to step down.
He's been trying to leave for a minute, though. Yeah. He's been a little anxious.
Yeah, he's been ready to get up out of there. I'm not going to even go over my stuff. His accomplishments are that he's been a civil rights warrior in the attorney general seat. But I know I see your notes over there.
Well, no, because I just wanted to. No. Well, because I was trying to figure out what I thought about it originally, and I think but I think some people are expected to be sad or happy or mad that he's leaving because he was the first attorney general, which I think is an awesome place. He played, such a huge part, and he also was the longest serving, and I think that's incredible. But I also think it's cool that he's deciding when he wants to go and not getting pushed out. You know what I mean? He waited for the thunder to kind of pass away, and he's ready to be in between thunders. He's trying to go. He wants a career after this, like you mentioned earlier, and I think that's I'm okay with that. And I was looking up some information. I don't know, just for me, I was looking up some information. They were saying that Edwin Meese from the Ronald Reagan kind of time, he was one of the second best, I would say, or most active attorney generals besides Eric Holder. So I think that's cool that it's been a long time since you've seen someone perform at his level. Granted, there's been some questionable decisions he's made.
He did some of Obama's dirty work. I can admit
he's definitely done some stuff that we've had to blink twice and look away, or whatever the case is, and however people reacted. You have to be like, but really though? But I think overall, I am proud of his accomplishments. I think he's come very far in what he did. And I think it's interesting that when he started, he was extremely conservative. I wouldn't say extremely, but he was more conservative than he is now, and he ended a lot more liberal in the things that he wanted to push forward and where he stood on a lot of things. I think, he had that time, he grew, and now let's see where he runs along next. I don't know.
I definitely, I'm in agreement with Stacy on this. I think he's been great. I think to be the first African American to serve in that, I'm happy about that. The fact that in being African American, he's also been the longest running or standing attorney general. That's great to me. I think what I've enjoyed watching in his career over the last couple of years is that he was found in contempt of the Congress, like twice.
Yeah.
You know, and this brother would never back down. I mean, he would never buckle down. I mean, he stood his ground, and I don't know if it was so much that he was doing it for Obama or if he was just doing it because that's organically who he is, but he wasn't going to let them tell him what he thought, what his intentions were, or interpret his actions to be something different than they were. And I think that the whole controversy around him resigning now, it kind of has a little question mark hanging for me over here, because I think
like what's going
my
on?
concern is you have repeatedly said Barack Obama is your boy, is your friend. So when your friend gets ready to leave in a time when your political ratings, you know, are as lower than they've ever been, then it makes even me say, what you know about Obama?
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah. Obama.
But it's, I
What do you know
mean,
about Barack?
See,
I don't. Ooh, that's
It makes me wonder if he's jumping ship because of something that he knows or something he's trying to avoid as it relates to this administration.
with politics, you never know.
Well, but
Never
think about
know.
the tension here.
Yeah.
He has been held in contempt with Congress twice.
But-
Barack has got to now find someone to replace him that could win the confirmation process.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how difficult
And
that's going to be? Given
that was
this?
my thing. That was my thing because we're coming up on the midterm elections.
Yes.
This November, the Republicans are making a hard push for the Senate.
Absolutely.
They want the Senate bad, and if they get the Senate, then all bets are off. There's no telling.
what could happen.
Yeah, Obama. Then they strip Obama of all power at that point because he has no legislative power at that point. If you lose the House and the Senate, we already don't have the House. You don't have the Senate, then you know. And let me not even say we, because I'm not a Democrat either. I just want to make sure people understand that.
Right.
But yeah, at the same time, if they push somebody through in November during the lame duck session, then that's going to get criticized.
But didn't they say
and if
the
they
successor could come like next year? So isn't in that time?
I think it
isn't he
should.
still?
I
Isn't he
think it
still doing
should.
his thing? He doesn't just stop because
Well, the
he
end of the
decided.
year.
Yeah,
He's going to
end
serve
of the
until
year.
the end of the year.
Yeah.
But possibly not. It said that. Well, at least from my information, it said that until the successor is announced. What if it's not announced till next year?
Well, that would be until he's confirmed.
Yeah, he's
so
gotta
right
get
now
confirmed.
so if
that's
the
different.
election takes place in November, the confirmation is usually January, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
right? I think it's usually January.
Oh, interesting.
We've watched the Attorney General's office over the years from Janet Reno and John Ashcroft and all the way back to Robert Kennedy. And,
yeah, Robert F. Kennedy definitely wrote him down.
Yeah, that office has been used for. It can be used as the bully pit for the president, obviously. So now everybody is interested. I want to know who Obama's going to try to nominate for this position.
I want to know how Obama feels about it. He said his nice
Obama-
he's
Obama
known.
speech.
Yeah.
I
I'm
love
saying-
her Obama speech. Kind
No,
of.
I know. I heard the rhetoric, but I want to know, like, is he like, you want to leave me? Like, I really want to know what the
You wanna know what they're
the
saying
boy
behind closed
conversation.
doors.
Oh yeah, I want to know
Yeah.
what the boy conversation like.
I
I mean,
think it is. It's a bad time for
Yeah.
him to leave.
It is.
It just
is.
is. And I think he's leaving for his own political future.
Of course.
You know, Barack Obama's
But like I said,
not
I'm
going down in smoke, but he's at least steaming right now because things are so hot. But you have to think about this. I mean, you have the targeted investigations of the Internal Revenue Service that is hanging over this administration.
hanging over it.
You have Obama exercising executive action over the Benghazi thing.
Yeah.
That's still hanging in the air, and he's got to find somebody that, again, is going to pass this confirmation process.
Yeah.
And that's going to be difficult given all the stuff that's hanging.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And given the fact that we're at war.
And
and
someone
that
you can
every-
trust for real,
yeah.
for real.
Yeah.
That's
those
what
are
I
all
was
the reasons
concerned.
they've gone after Eric Holder.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's going to be interesting just because the midterms are coming and we don't know what's going to happen. So we'll be watching, man.
And
so,
praying.
Yeah, 'cause
Oh my God, there's so much going on.
I just hope that we can get to the point where work actually gets done in Washington because Washington is absolutely broken.
Yeah.
Let's end it right there. Wow.
Resignation, icebergs, and what?
Yeah, we got all
Gunshots.
kind of
Dang,
everything's
but not
going
these
on.
gunshots, though. I don't.
So
Yeah.
anyway, there we go. I'm like, I was waiting on it to kick in.
I needed that because you got me worked up thinking about all this stuff.
Well, you know, we do that every week here.
We
So, yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and get some guests and start bringing some guests in. We got to see if we can get Eric Garcetti in here.
Nice.
That would be an interesting one because I want to talk about LA's infrastructure and why he's spending money on things like the big music festival that they had a couple weeks ago, as opposed to fixing some of these water mains that we have breaking all over the place. Anyway, but that's a local story. So, Miss Ike, where can the people reach out and talk to you at?
Thank you guys for tuning in today. You can check me out on Twitter and Instagram at OneTakeStace and also on livenaomi.com.
Who's Naomi?
Not afraid of my imperfections. Phrase that I came
See
up
how
with.
I set you up so you can tell the people about your wonderfulness.
I am not mad at you.
There it
I
is.
am not mad at you.
And not the woman who threw a cell phone at people when she got mad. Done. Where can the people reach out and holler at you at?
You can reach me right here next to Stacy Ike. No, but you can hit me at Don's Daily Dose on Twitter and Facebook.
Cool.
And always right
that's
here.
Right. I forgot you were on Facebook until I had to tag you last week.
You forgot I was on there?
Nah, because I always talk to you on Twitter. I always talk to you on Twitter.
Man.
I know.
Am I intimidated to you because I'm a brother? What's up?
Nah, man. You got curly hair. I can't get intimidated by you, man. And I, Rome Boy, you can reach out to me at Rome the Ruler on Twitter or Empire of Rome on Instagram. You can also find me under Rome Boy on Facebook. Yeah, and that's it. So let's go ahead and get out of here this week. Happy Friday to everyone who listened and watched and all of that. And we are out. Black Tea Party, Black Hollywood Live. Thank you.
See ya.
From producers Maria Menounos, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com.
I don't know who
Facebook, tweet us or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in.
It's going to be insane.
The views expressed here are those of the host
Eric,
and do
but
not
have it.
necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.